Hey friends, it's Kurt, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the 555 Oscillator, which is a new third-party module for the AE Modular system. Just like it says on the tin, this is made in collaboration with Kurt and M4vrick, which was the creator of the module, and it's a really fantastic oscillator. I might also mention that please stick around to the end of the video if you want to hear some really interesting sound demos of this thing. I usually try to include 3 or 4 patches of me making music with at least one of the things that I'm talking about. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at this module, some of the different sounds that we can get out of this thing and the different controls. But before we dive into that, I just need to quickly point out something that might happen in this video. I actually have Tourette syndrome, and usually when I'm putting together my videos, I do a really good job at editing it out because I really don't want it to distract or detract from any of the content that I'm putting out there. This is usually easy enough, but over the last couple of weeks, it's just gotten progressively worse and more prominent. So yeah, I do make sort of weird sounds and movements, and sometimes it's very hard to edit those out because even though I'm recording through a microphone and the system is being recorded separately, when I'm trying to sort of edit parts of my voice out and line it back up with the audio so everything's in time, it can get a little janky. So yeah, if you see any of that stuff happening, I hope that it doesn't take away from this. Anyways, let's get back to the video. So the 555 is an analog oscillator that takes its name from the old school 555 timer chip. I had to Google that because I had no idea what it was, and it was an interesting read. It is a great sounding oscillator, and it has pretty accurate pitch tracking as well. And as well as that, it's also got these linear and exponential FM inputs. So you can get some pretty wild sounds out of this thing. So just to kick things off, I figured we might just plug in some of the raw sounds and have a listen to each of them. So we have the triangle wave, a sawtooth wave, sine wave. Yep, that's right, a sine wave. Which is really, really cool because I don't have any sine waves in the system so far, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And we also have a square wave with pulse width control. Now, something you might have noticed about the sound of this is, yeah, I have this frequency knob turned all the way down, but it's not exactly a low bass sound that we're getting out of it. Don't worry though, if you plug something like a sequencer, or like what I'm about to do here, an attenuator, or you could even just plug in the ground input from the master module, and we whack that into the frequency control and turn this up, and we'll make sure that this is on plus 5 volts. We can hear the full range of this oscillator now. Pretty cool. So I'm going to take the sine wave output for this next example, and let's talk about some of these FM inputs. So what I'm going to do is let's just take the square wave output from our 2 oscillator hybrid over here, and we'll plug this into the exponential input control. If we turn this up, pretty neat stuff. Now, I'm not a complete expert on FM synthesis. Like, I use it a lot when I'm making music, but understanding sort of the back end of it isn't exactly my strong suit. What I do know though is that with exponential inputs, basically the higher the frequency on our modulating oscillator, that means that this one is going to go up in pitch, and we can get to some really cool metallic sounds using this. Try out a triangle wave. And maybe we'll use a sawtooth. So, of course, this can be really, really useful for making like sweeping sounds and awesome effects. Now I messed around there. Sorry, I'm just going to sort of reset this. Just have one more listen to this right now. Great. Let's have a look at linear. So linear is a little bit more predictable and doesn't really alter the pitch as much. So we can still hear the original pitch of our oscillator, but we're kind of getting this noise over the top of it. And you can find those nice sweet spots, which provides like a really cool amount of width to your synth sound. So yeah, I mean, I was kind of planning on diving into a lot of the differences between linear and exponential inputs in this video, and I watched a ton of resources and I read up a lot on it, but I don't think that I'm exactly qualified to sort of give that information out because I don't want to make a mistake and mislead anybody. So I'll try and leave a link to a really fantastic video on the subject down below in the description. So yeah, feel free to check that one out. What I do want to demonstrate though is just some really cool things that you can do with sounds like this. I'm going to take that saw wave output and I'm going to plug it into a VCA down the bottom here, and we'll hook up an envelope to that. And then we'll take the VCA out and we'll plug that back into, let's go the linear input. So now if we turn this up, we can get a little bit more control over how this sounds and how it creeps into our sound. We can also play with the attack knob. So yeah, I mean, that's already pretty neat. What I think I'll do next is take the output of our 555 and we'll plug this into a VCA and we'll trigger that with a separate envelope. Then let's take the output of that and maybe we'll plug it into the wasp filter, and we'll take our filter out and plug that into our mixer. So obviously I want to be able to trigger this sound using something. I could use a sequencer. I'm just going to keep things nice and easy, and maybe I'll use the CV track on the deluge over here. So in order to set this up, I'm just going to take the gate input or output, sorry, of my deluge, and we're going to whack it into the mult on this VCA, and then yeah, we can go from the mult to both of the envelopes. Great. And now I'll just open up a new CV track on my deluge, and cool, when I press something we get our little envelopes opening and closing. Now finally I want some pitch control, so I'm going to take the CV output and we're going to mult this. Let's whack that into the frequency of the 555 and the frequency of our oscillator. Now, I'm not really too worried about, whoops, wrong patch. I'm not really too worried about tuning these or anything. I'm not trying to make beautiful sounds right now, though you definitely can go through the effort. For the sake of time, let's just make some really funky noise. It's going to go down a couple of octaves. Great. So that's just our 555 that we're hearing. Let's turn up the exponential input. We'll turn up the volume on our modulating oscillator and play around with the envelope. Cool. So yeah, we can play around with like the pitches of these. And just so it's a little more prominent, let's just try exponential instead. We we could play around with some different oscillator types. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Sweet. Let's maybe have this come in a little bit after our initial oscillator. Play around with the influence of our VCA. Finally, maybe we can take second envelope output down here. And let's also plug it into the CV of our wasp filter. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that you can hear right now, you can get like some really cool zany sort of techno sounds with this thing. I'm going to quickly create a sequence on the deluge and then sequence some drums, and then I'll hit play and you guys can have a listen. Cool, so I've got a little sequence set up on the deluge now, and yeah, let's play around with a mixing chain on the Zoia just to kind of make things sound a little bit more full. So it's without it. Just getting a little bit more of a low end. So let's play around with some of these controls. And I hope that through doing all of this, you're starting to hear some of the really awesome sounds you can get out of this thing. Let's try something else. We can play around with a different modulating oscillator even. So yeah, I mean, excuse the little long jam there. I just kind of wanted to show what you could do with like envelopes and stuff when you're working with something like this. So yeah, I mean, you're probably going to see me use a lot of these type of techniques in the demos that I have at the end of this video. And just before I let you go, I just want to sort of point out something really cool that you can do with the Kaestle synth and this thing. I have a lot of fun creating really zany sounds this way. So yeah, something I want to try doing here is, let's just take the sine wave output. And yeah, I've got a little reverb going on the Doge. I'm just going to leave that there for now. And let's take a long cable here. And we'll take the oscillator out of the Kaestle and plug that into, let's say, the exponential input. And let's just mess around. There's no real rhyme or reason to me showing you this. I just really like some of the sounds that I can get out of it this way. And don't forget that there are 6 different synthesis modes in the Kaestle. So let's play around with some of those. Try a different one. I mean, yeah, that's just wild. And we don't even have the stepped output activated on this thing. If we wanted to, we could take the stepped output and start modulating things on the Kaestle using this method. Cool, let's try our second lot of outputs down here. Yeah, pretty neat stuff. And like I demoed in one of my other videos, we can whack this through something like a granular patch that I built on the Zoia here. And just get really, really crazy with it. I mean, that is definitely a sound I have not discovered yet. I am half tempted to whack this through a quantizer just to hear what it would sound like in scale. So I'm going to do just that. Now we might need to put this into triggered mode, we'll see. And we'll just take the LFO output and see if that'll do the job. Better yet, let's put it through an attenuator and we'll attenuate that signal slightly. I know this is getting a little bit messy and experimental right now, but it's what I've been doing with this oscillator lately and I really enjoy it. We could even try this in linear. Man, I'm really going to have to edit all of this down, but I really want to whack that through a VCA and an envelope, just to sort of hear how much control I can get over a sound like this, because I think it's really, really cool. Maybe the LFO of the Kaestle will act as a gate. Anyways, yeah, I hope that this has been a really insightful overview of the 555. I'm really sorry that I got a little bit lost there because, yeah, I just really like experimenting with the sounds that I can get out of this thing and the other bits of gear sitting next to it. I hope that you really enjoy the sound demos at least. One of them is particularly heavy, and I dare say it's my favorite patch that I've made with the system so far. So, yeah, if you made it through this far, hit the like if you like, and if you don't, tell me why. Please subscribe, check me out on Patreon, and thanks. I'll see you in the next one.